Pastor Dave here with another prayer topic. The topic today, the question I want to ask actually today, which is our topic for this video, is what does prayer really accomplish? And I'm going to be sharing a story with you in order to answer that question. I'm going to share a story with you that happened to me about 40 years ago when my wife and I were enjoying a vacation in Minnesota. We were on a lake there. The bank she worked at in Omaha, Nebraska, allowed their employees to use a particular piece of property with 2 or 3 cabins on it. And we also had the use of 2 speedboats, a fishing boat, and a canoe, which was amazing. So we invited all of our Ginny's side of the family, my mom and dad, her mom and dad, all of her sisters and brothers-in-laws and so on. We had just a great time. On the last day we were there, my wife and I took my niece, 5-year-old niece, and her mom on just a little excursion across the lake with the fishing boat. I checked the gasoline tank, it was full. Started up the 25 horsepower Evinrude motor, and it started just fine, and we just tooled across the lake and had just a great time. And then about halfway back, probably a good quarter of a mile, maybe a mile, half a mile from shore, that little 25 horsepower Evinrude outboard motor began to sputter, and it just all of a sudden died. I thought, I checked the gas tank. I know we're full of gas here. What's the deal? Started pumping that little bulb that so you can get the gas up in the gas line. I thought maybe something's got to be gas related. and of course, being the super spiritual prayer warrior there I didn't bother to pray about it. I just thought, no, I can handle this. This is, Dave Bruns can handle this kind of thing. Of course, I was maybe about 22, 23 years old at the time. So I simply did the logical thing and began pulling the starter rope. That's what you do when you're a young man. And you don't need God. You've got your own strength to take care of you. So I pulled and I pulled and I pulled until literally I had blisters in between all my fingers on both hands. So I'm pulling the rope for the 100th time, and all of a sudden I hear this little voice from the bow of the boat say to me, "Uncle Dave, maybe we should pray about this." Now, being the ever, super spiritual guy that I was, super spiritual prayer warrior that I was, I thought, are you kidding me? Who are you to lecture me, Dave Bruns, Bible college student who just graduated from Bible college, about prayer? I didn't say that to her, but I thought that's what was going on in my mind. And I thought, you know what, you go ahead and pray, Melody. Great idea, go for it. Uncle Dave will have this thing up and running shortly. I could see it wasn't going to start, so I put the oars in the oar locks, and I began rowing the 3/4 of a mile back to our dock. And before we even got 100 yards, both oar locks broke off. I don't know if it was my adrenaline was, just going like crazy, and because I'm not that strong of a guy, but I broke both oar locks, just snapped off at the same time. And we're stranded. There's no other boats out there. There's no one to rescue us. It's about noon, it's hot, it's humid, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And I'm sweating. I'm just dripping wet with sweat from rowing so hard. So then from the front of the boat, my niece says, "Uncle Dave, I prayed. You can start the boat now." So being the ever super spiritual prayer guy that I was, I think I've said that a few times. I say it facetiously because I wasn't a super spiritual prayer guy. I said to her, "Sure, Melody, Uncle Dave will pull the worthless starting rope just one more time because you prayed to God." And I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a huge disappointment to her. So I pulled the starting rope. Does prayer really accomplish anything? Several things happened in that brief moment that I pulled that rope. First of all, I learned that I was a proud and arrogant guy. I could have joined my niece in a word of prayer, but I didn't. I thought I can fix this stuff. I definitely learned the hard way that always pray first and then try working on things. Secondly, my niece's faith grew exponentially, and you know what? So did mine. Thirdly, the stress of the situation was abated almost instantly, because when that motor kicked back on the first pull, after she told me she had prayed, I sure learned a lot about take these things to the Lord in the first place, Dave, and then you'll be less stressed out. You know, it was the Apostle Paul who said, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your petition to Christ, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Why don't we go to prayer first? That's one of the benefits. That's what prayer accomplishes, is it gives us peace, a peace during stressful times. And it also increased my faith in the power of prayer. By the way, my wife's bank had a man on the property who mowed lawns and fixed the boats and repaired them and so on. And I told him about the problem when I left the boat there on the shore. And when I came back later, I asked him, how did it go? How'd you get, did you get the thing repaired? He goes, how in the world, he said, did you ever start that motor? That fuel line was so plugged up, there is no way that motor should have run. In fact, he said, I have no idea how you ever got that motor to run. And I said, I do. So I got to tell him about my niece and how prayer works. So, what does prayer really accomplish? It provides less stress and produces greater faith. There you go. So keep on praying.